Happy Sunday, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Between the Ropes. It's going to be a good one tonight. We've got a lot to talk about. We previewed this a little bit on the show the other night, so it's gonna be a fun night. A lot of stuff, as I say all the time on this show. Again, going on in pro wrestling, we had a huge development on SmackDown that we're going to chat about tonight too. We've got some great news about Chris Bay. Great news about Chris Bay that we're going to go over. All that and much more in tonight's episode. Jeff, as usual, we're jam-packed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We are jam-packed, and we're actually introducing a new segment this week.
That is true. We have a new segment. We have some news that Jeff and I have been discussing that we're not ready to talk about yet, but we have to kind of keep it under our hat a little bit. But it's something that may affect us, doing some things going forward. So we'll let you know when we want to do this. So just a little teaser for you. But we, we're kind of thinking about, about doing some things that are gonna, hopefully benefit us, hopefully benefit you as an audience and stuff like that. And it does concern TNA a little bit too. So we'll let you know. We'll speak to that in the future as that goes on. But yeah, lots to talk about tonight. I am going to, obviously, Jeff has the grievance section all to himself tonight. I am a bystander tonight, and I will comment obviously on his, but he's got that. We've got the news. We've got developing things. We got sell or no sell as usual. What to watch for. Our burning question of the week, and of course our favorite moments and stuff like that too. So thank you all for joining us. We appreciate everybody for coming out. Obviously, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you drop a like on the stream tonight. Very important. And hit the notification bell to be notified about that future content, of which our next show will be on Tuesday, an episode of Fireflies Forever, as you can see up on the schedule. So join us for that. That's 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's been, a little bit of things here and there going on with that, like some things that, Alexa's doing and things that are playing kind of in the background of that. So we'll talk about that. And then, of course, Thursday, we'll be back with another episode of TNA, our watch along, and then right back here next week, if we can. Again, this is, we'll keep you posted on this because I know Jeff has his kids sometimes on weekends, so we work around that kind of stuff. So we'll let you know what's going on next week. But Jeff, I guess we better get into it, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, let's get into it, man. We'll start with any breaking news that you have.
I mean, from what I've listened to the past day or two, the wrestling world's kind of abuzz with a topic that we're going to cover. And that, of course, took place on SmackDown. So we can probably talk about that a little bit more there. But, yeah, I don't know. I really haven't heard a ton of stuff other than obviously people getting ready for Elimination Chamber this coming Saturday. And, but other than that, I haven't heard a whole bunch. I did hear some good things on Busted Open Radio, today's edition, about MJF and oh man, I forgot already. His next opponent, who is next? Hangman Adam Page.
Adam Page.
Yeah, so I heard a little bit about that. People are pretty excited about that going on, and apparently, I also heard that AEW is starting to have some events in smaller places. The two gentlemen were talking about that and how they, they're not having to rope off half of the big arenas that they've been going to, like these 20,000 seat arenas, and they have to black out half of it because they're not getting that much of a crowd. So it looks like they're, kind of learning a little bit. Hey, maybe they're taking a little bit from what TNA did and they're going to smaller places, which I think is smart. That looks better for the audience and stuff like that. So yeah, look, there's things coming out of wrestling all over the place all the time. But Jeff, I don't know if you heard anything else, but those are really the big things that I heard over the weekend.
Well, the only thing I wanted to bring up that we don't have in the show is the debut of now known as Ricky Saints in NXT. Yes. And yeah, that's pretty exciting stuff. So I think he'll actually be in action this upcoming week, and so will the Hardys on NXT. So it should be a really fun night on NXT.
Yeah, NXT's been like must watch. I mean, for me too. Again, I didn't always watch it because a lot of times I'll have things on Tuesday nights that just air on Tuesdays that I have to watch. But yeah, it's been must watch. It's a can't miss show, especially for a fan of TNA. I mean, seeing the Hardys there, how many times are you gonna see something like that? And then like you mentioned the debut and stuff like that. So yeah, don't miss it. It's been very, very, very good. Just say a quick hello to everybody out there. Jason, Dylan, James is here. James stayed up for it. Thanks, James.
Yeah.
Conrad's in the house. Andrew Stevens, John G, Damien. We've got John Bennett is here. Got a lot of people. Jason P, Sasan, John G, and a whole bunch of others. So yeah, a pretty good crowd out there. So thank you all for joining us. All right, Jeff. Well, look, I guess we'll just we'll get into it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get into we'll get into the first topic here,
All right.
which we talked about a little bit earlier, Joe. But Chris Bay,
Yes.
I actually have a little video clip
Nice.
of Chris Bay. So here we go. We can actually talk over this. It doesn't have any sound, but yeah, this is Chris Bay taking steps again.
I mean, amazing, amazing, amazing news.
Yeah.
We don't. Oftentimes in wrestling, right? We get bad news. We oftentimes get bad news, right? We get a lot of bad news, a lot of injury news, a lot of bad things. Even about some of the older wrestlers and stuff that are having a hard time. Some of them that have passed away and things like that. But this is absolutely tremendous. And a man who was in danger of possibly being paralyzed is now walking. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I am, so overjoyed for that. I can tell you right now, it's going to be one of my favorite moments of the week at the end of the show. I'm very happy for him and again, not just being a fan of his as a wrestler, but happy for him as a human being. He's going to be living his life normally and stuff like that, and walking and everything. It's a blessing, Jeff. I'm sure a lot of people's prayers have been heard, including Chris's and his families and stuff too. But just whenever you see something like this, you oftentimes think that, regardless of what you believe and what you may think or feel about religious things and stuff like that, but you often think that there someone was watching over him, and it's very, very cool to see, and I'm very, very happy for Chris that this all happened, and all, of course, all the fans and everybody who supported him and donated to him and was able to help him get the surgery that he needed as well. Just amazing news.
Yeah, I mean, really, the only thing that I have to say about it is that God is good.
Yeah.
And, if you've been praying for Chris and his friends and family, continue to do so. If you're able to donate, continue to do so, because this is a journey at this point. We're going to cheer Chris on just like we've done when he's been in the ring, but we're going to cheer him on as he continues his healing journey. So yeah, that's really all I got to say is God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. So just really, really happy to see Chris up and walking.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, best news of the week that we're going to have. Absolutely, for sure. I think it's fantastic. So, and what a way to do it, that he could share that with everyone, getting up out of the chair and walking across the room. That had to feel just amazing for him. So, yeah, very happy for him to see that progress and to see him walking and being able to do that. So, yeah, fantastic. Amazing, amazing news. So, let's go, Chris Bay. Even smoother than last time, says bonus baby. Yeah, it's great news. Absolutely fantastic news. And we are big fans of his. And I'm sure he has all the love from the fandom and all the love from the other wrestlers in that TNA locker room, as well as many other wrestling companies around the world that are rooting for him. So great stuff. Absolutely great stuff.
All right, man. Well, I think this is the thing that many people were talking about from Friday, but The Rock returns to collect Cody's soul.
You know, I had a mull on this, and because the Rock, it's kind of hard to follow with him now because he's going back and forth. Like he's doing the face Rock, and then he's doing the final boss Rock, and he's kind of, he was even doing it with the crowd, right? Like he was getting them all fired up with the announcement of WrestleMania, which everybody kind of figured what was going to be the gist of it. And I'm happy for New Orleans. They obviously deserve it with all they've gone through. But then he comes out and then he starts talking about syphilis and wiping the syphilis off their faces and all that kind of stuff. I mean, so he's going back and forth. And then the Cody thing, you kind of knew something was weird here because like he was saying, oh, they're friends and their moms are friends. But then you were just waiting for the hammer to drop. And then it kind of finally did, right? Where he kind of said he wants him to, he wants his soul, but he wants Cody to kind of join him and he's going to help Cody and all this stuff. But I'll tell you what, this took me back to. This took me back to the days of Vince McMahon and Stone Cold Steve Austin and the evil corporate stuff and all that. And I'll tell you, Jeff, my prediction for this, and I went back and forth on this a little bit thinking like, well, what could they do? And then when you watch The Rock in the press conference, and I don't know if you guys watched it, but if you watched him in the press conference, he was completely different. He was completely different. He was back in the Rocky Johnson, I'm the funny Rock and I'm the guy who loves everybody. Completely different. And in that conference, the one thing I took from that is how he said, this doesn't have to be a match. And I thought, and then I thought to myself, all right, he's the chairman of the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who else is on that board? They announced it last year, if you forgot. John Cena is on that board. So we've been talking on our show here about thinking how John Cena might win that elimination. Well, I'll tell you, the way I would do this, Jeff, I would have the Cody Rock meeting take place right at the beginning of Elimination Chamber or before the men's match. And and of course, we all know, Jeff, Cody's going to turn him down. Of course he's going to. He's a face. He can't accept that offer, right? Going to turn him down. So then what's going to happen? Now, this can go maybe two ways in my head. The Rock could enter the Royal Rumble using his power from the corporation and just go in, or he helps John Cena win the damn Royal Rumble. Or I'm sorry, the Elimination Chamber, the chamber. Yeah. He helps Cena win the chamber. Now, Cena then joins up with The Rock. They're this evil corporation now. And The Rock, what a turnaround, Jeff, this would be. Because we remember from last year and how Cena helped Cody, right? Mm-hmm. Now, Rock doesn't have to wrestle, but Rock can certainly come out, do something to help make Cody lose that match to John Cena. John Cena then gets it. And you know what else it does, Jeff? There's no harm done to Cody. No harm done to Cody because they cheated to beat him. And then you get a Seal Hina run with The Rock in charge of John Cena as the corporation. I think that's amazing. And and then you want to work Punk in. Now, see, Derek's talking about Punk. They could work Punk in too because The Rock could screw Punk. If Punk and Cena are the ones that are left, Rock screws Punk over to have Cena win. And then you get a match between Cena and Punk at SummerSlam for the title. That's how you work Punk into the whole thing. But that's what
Cena drop it then.
Yep. Cena would drop it at SummerSlam to Punk. That's what I think. I don't think he'd hold it very long, but I think Cena would drop it to Punk. Personally, I think that Jeff, and I don't know if this is Cody acting. It very well could be. Cody, to me, Jeff, looks tired. He looks to me like he's tired. And that life as the champion does that. Cody's not a young dude. I mean, he's not old by any means, but he's not in his 20s. He's not, you know what I mean? Like that's hard. It takes its toll. You have a kid, you have a wife, you're on the road constantly. You're doing interviews, you're doing all this, So I think he's going to not have the title for a while. And I think I'd be okay with that. But that's my kind of little prediction thing. That's the way I see this going. And The Rock doesn't have to lift a finger. He could interfere a little bit, but he doesn't have to do anything. And then we get that run with John Cena, and then there they go. They're the evil corporation. Cena and Rock both are part of that corporation. So I don't know. I think it's kind of brilliant. I think it's pretty cool. We all know that Cody's going to say no. But I don't know. I think that's how it's going to go. But Jeff, what are your thoughts on it, man? I'm curious to know what you think about it.
Man, it's wild because, and I think we've talked about this before, but you could make a legitimate argument for every single person in that men's elimination chamber match.
Yep.
A legitimate argument in terms of who deserves to go up against Cody. Now, there's a part of me that says that Cody is going to accept the offer.
Oh, okay.
That's a very small part.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Conrad, I was thinking along those lines too, of Punk selling his soul. And think about that. How crazy would it be, given Punk's history, with not being corporate, fighting the corporate machine, and realizing that it's not getting him exactly what he wants. And the most important thing to him right now is getting that title shot, main eventing WrestleMania. That's what he wants. What's the best way to do it? Well, he might have two opportunities. Using that favor that Paul Heyman owes him, getting him in touch with the big guy, which is The Rock. So I could see it going that way too.
Okay, yeah.
There's so many different possibilities, and that's what I'm enjoying about this. I know that, some of the comments have been that they haven't done much of a build up, and I agree. It's not as much as they've done in years past, but I think what they're doing with the chamber this year is different than what they've done in years past. The chamber feels bigger.
Yeah.
This year it feels more important. So yeah, I mean, who knows? It could be anything, and I'm in for the ride. I'm actually interested in seeing the pay-per-view, which in years past I was kind of like, I might watch it later.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the chamber
this year.
Agreed. The chamber was never one of those ones that was always a must-watch for a lot of people.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. I think that that this is very cool. Yeah, and it can go so many different ways. Cena might look at this as an invasion by The Rock on his part, where he's like, I don't want him messing this up for me. This is about me. This isn't about him. I don't want this to be about him. So yeah, it could really go any number of directions from here. But look, I think it's cool, however you slice it. And of course, LaGreca's getting involved again, and I'm sure he loves it because this whole thing with him and The Rock that they've got going on, which I'm sure they'll play off that a little bit and everything too. But yeah, it's very cool because we all kind of didn't know, obviously we know, Jey Uso and Gunther, that's one of the main events, but we didn't know what's going to go on with Cody now, right? Because it obviously seems like it's going to be Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. We don't know Roman's status. We have no idea what's going on with Roman. So we didn't know what was going to happen with Cody. Like yeah.
Seth and Roman.
So it's Seth and yeah, you're right. Yeah, probably.
At this point, I gotta see it.
Yeah, it has to
because
right?
Roman owes him after that double stomp.
Yeah,
they've been flirting with it for years. I gotta see something built up to a WrestleMania match,
and that's a main event level. That's a main event level match. Yeah, like on any other show, that'd be a main event.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great call. Bad blood and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, this is going to be just really interesting. Listen, whenever like him or not, The Rock is he is what he is, and he's going to show up. He's going to come out during big times of the year. He's in charge. He's in charge of the wrestling division of the company that took over WWE, the company that bought WWE. So he's going to involve himself, and it's always interesting when he comes back and seeing him and stuff like that. So yeah, this is it's going to be a ride, guys. It's going to be a ride, and we're going to have to see what goes on. Of course, during the course of this week, we'll see if anything happens or if they're just going to let it go and they're just going to wait until Elimination Chamber. But definitely going to make that a must-watch show for sure. So good stuff.
Yep. All right, man. Up next, we've got Miss Bliss saying she's in charge. The week before, we got the message from the Wyatt Six. Did it say, "Are you in charge? Do you feel in charge?" Something like that. And she seemingly responded to that. So, what do you think of that video package, Joe?
Look, this is what I wanted to happen. I was hoping that this would happen because if obviously we all know that, well, I think, at this point, there's been nothing publicly stated, but we all are pretty well sure that Bo is out. How long he's out, we don't know. But, and everybody was kind of saying that, and I said on an episode of Fireflies Forever a few weeks back, that what I want to see is I want to see Alexa Bliss take over that group. Now, I don't know that group is going to be that receptive to that, but I want to see it happen. And obviously that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a power play here a little bit where Alexa is saying she's in charge. They're kind of questioning that. And that's what I would think it would be. And then maybe Alexa just kind of moves in on the group while Bo is out, which is going to make for a very, very cool comeback from him. Because, they, like I said, and Jeff brought this up too on that same episode, people tend to want to push that WrestleMania out of their minds. That one where Bray was betrayed by Alexa. They want to push that out of their minds because they didn't like it. They didn't like the match. They didn't like what happened. They didn't like the results. And I get it. But they want to push that out of their heads. But I think it's a better and a smarter decision to not push it out of everybody's mind, to remind everybody of that. And then that could make for a much better story when Bo does indeed return. So I think, Jeff, that this is going to lead, and we'll talk about this more on Tuesday. I think this is going to lead into her running the group for a bit, not getting a very good reception necessarily from the group. And then that leads to Bo coming back and a conflict somewhere down the road between them. But yeah, it's cool, Jeff, because again, they're doing things with her to try and keep the Wyatt Six being talked about, which is just smart. People are very anxious for when they're going to come back. Look, they're in the new WWE video game. Everybody's excited about that because they look really cool and excited to play them and everything. So you kind of have to keep them relevant. And even though that their leader, Howdy, is out of action and he's not there, it's cool that they're doing this stuff with Alexa, Jeff.
Yeah, I think when it comes to this story, it comes to these wrestlers involved, it's hard to kind of be patient because there have been times where we've not gotten a lot and then we've gotten a lot of build up and we feel like maybe things were unfinished. But I actually feel pretty confident about where they are today. And the fact that they're doing these things, you've got commentary, apparently, I think on the international broadcast talking about the Wyatt Six. Shout out to C Wrestling and his Things You Might Have Missed video, because that's where I heard that for the first time. So I feel pretty confident about where they are. And I think that while Miss Bliss may feel she's in charge, I don't necessarily know that that's the case. So we shall see what happens, but I don't think that she's in charge as she may think she is.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. We'll talk more about that, like I said, on Tuesday. And, of course, we'll get opinions from Chris and stuff as well. Chris and I on that show were kind of vehemently against Alexa Bliss being the one in charge of the group. We kind of probably still are in agreement about that. I know a lot of other people are in very different opinions about that, and would love to have Alexa in charge. So yeah, make sure to join us Tuesday. We're always going to be there on Tuesdays to talk about all of this kind of stuff that's going on with the White Six and Alexa. So join us for that, and you'll hear much more about this stuff with Alexa. So, Jeff, what's next, man?
All right, man. So this might be one of the most surprising moments of the week, but Moose showed up on NXT, and as you can see, the guy behind him, that's who he faced off with, Obafemi, which blew all of our minds. So,
yeah. How about that? This was an amazing moment, man. I remember watching NXT, and Jeff had talked about this a while ago on the show, and mentioned about how cool this would be if these two ever like faced off together. I know Tazzy mentioned it too on a couple episodes and stuff. But yeah, what a moment it was on NXT when Moose stepped out of there, and Obafemi's in the ring. We saw that was very cool. Then of course they had another confrontation on TNA. If you missed it, they had a confrontation there as well, where Obafemi kind of took his time a little bit coming down the ramp, but
yeah, he took a bit.
He took a little bit of time coming down there, but he made his way down, and either way, it looks as if the TNA NXT thing is gonna really ramp it up, and these two might end up clashing somehow. Tazzy suggesting at Stand and Deliver. I don't know, but wherever it's going to be, I'm there for it. Because, man, this is just going to be a battle of two amazing athlete powerhouses for their respective, companies. And I'm down for this. What a confrontation this is going to be, Jeff.
Yeah, I can't wait. And this really is a dream match for a lot of people. If you're a fan of TNA, a fan of NXT, the moment that you started hearing rumblings and seeing the two working together, this was one of the matches where you like, if they could just make this happen.
Yep.
And we're seeing the start of it, and I think we're going to get an 8-man tag.
Yeah, that was
at Sacrifice.
Yeah.
And then we may see something later on, but these two, I feel, need the stage of Mania weekend. How cool would that be?
That'd be amazing. I think someone in the chat mentioned that too. Yeah, you said that before. Yeah, that'd be very cool, dude. Look, it's 2 nights, right? WrestleMania is 2 nights.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Why not showcase a huge match like this?
And it really doesn't even have to be on a main card. I mean, even if you wanted to put it on a pre-show, I mean, I know these two dudes are big names, but man, this would be huge for Mania weekend.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it would be very cool. Whichever way they decide to do it, whether it's Tazzy's right and it's Stand and Deliver, whether it's a TNA pay-per-view coming up, whether it's an NXT pay-per-view coming up, or like Jeff mentioned, if they think that this is big enough to garner something of the WrestleMania card, I wouldn't argue. I would think that this would be amazing wherever it's going to be, and it's going to be awesome. So this is just going to be two big men slapping meat, as someone said in the chat. Yes.
Yep.
And I love to see it. So. Yep. Just an awesome development. And one of the reasons why, guys, I said earlier, you should be watching NXT right now, especially if you're TNA fans, because there's been a lot of stuff going on there. A lot of stuff going on. Much more than we were getting in the partnership that we had last year. Much more, much bigger things, like the Hardys being on NXT this week, which is huge. So, yep. Mm-hmm. What's next, man?
All right. So speaking of TNA, man, the first 5 minutes of this show, I just got to pull this picture up.
Oh, man.
First 5 minutes of the show, we get the Colognes, and then we get Elijah.
Yes. Yep. And the rumor is that Elijah signed with TNA. Very, very cool. And this pairing here is just a match. There's another one, right? Like Obafemi and Moose. These two together, I mean, it's perfect. The two musicians, two guitar players, two guys that sang their own music, right? They tag team against the Colognes. Of course, they win, right? And as I was telling Jeff on TNA on Thursday, you can have this go in a number of ways. You can have them joining forces for a while, tag teaming for a while. You could have them eventually implode and have them go up against one another at some point because one kind of, one gets a little jealous of the other. You could play that any way you want, but oh my God, what a start to this show. And now the Colognes are on TNA as well. What a night, man. What an absolute night on TNA this was. These live shows are amazing. Amazing. They are just killing it on these live shows. And the crowd was just, in Full Sail, was just absolutely fire. Absolutely fire. And, I loved that TNA is doing this. It's like getting little tiny pay-per-views, during a time where there's no pay-per-views. We're getting surprises at these. We're getting, and this allows TNA to do all different things where they don't have to wait for a Slammiversary to bring out two new wrestlers or surprises or anything like that. Now they could do it during these live shows. I thought this was absolutely brilliant. And Jeff, I think also unexpected. I don't think people could have said they're going to expect Elijah and the Colognes to show up at this event. In particular, people were bantering around some names, but they weren't the ones that were mentioned. So I thought that what a way to start the show, and wow, the entire show just took off from there.
Yeah, the energy that you got from the very start with the Colognes coming out there, and then the pairing that we always wanted but never knew we needed. What was these two guys? Like, these two guys in a ring, both with guitars, both can sing songs and make fun of people and do all the things that they do together. And you think about the full circle moment at Full Sail for Elijah. You add that into it as well. So I just feel like we asked for big moments. We asked for TNA to kind of step things up and give us those wow factor moments when it comes to their live shows. And they've done just that. The two that we've gotten so far this year have been absolutely tremendous, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon.
Agreed. Yeah.
But, Joe, I will say we're about to get to our new segment, and we're going to talk about another part of that live show too. So,
all right, yeah, guys, look, this was just absolutely brilliant. What an amazing live show, and what a great crowd the Full Sail had for this. So, man, TNA. We are only. I said this on Thursday. We are only in February. We're only in February, and they are just. They're killing it. They are absolutely killing it. This could be one of the best years that TNA has had in a long time. All the developments that are going on there. Ali with his new faction and that new group, and Mike Santana and that pairing that's going on. Just amazing. Absolutely amazing. They're absolutely killing it. Tazzy says, right, how about Jeff? Elijah goes back where it started in NXT.
Yep.
Oba is hungry. I also think Moose wants the opportunity to go to WWE. Jeff, next TNA live show is May the 1st. Mark your calendar. Don't miss those. Come out and check it out. For sure.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, yeah, Jeff, we do have a new segment of our show. We don't have this very often.
No, but we do have time today. We got time today. So, Joe, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about another part of that show, and it involves a wrestler that's involved in that has been involved in controversy. her return was very controversial. So, Tessa Blanchard, um, obviously, when we had the live show, um, the fans kind of hijacked the segment when she came out
Certainly
to the
did.
ramp, and they started yelling a bunch of things at her, started chanting a bunch of things, and yeah, I just want first off, I want to get your takeaway on what that scene was like, and then we can get into the question that I have here, which is, have fans taken things too far with Tessa Blanchard since her return?
Yeah, I mean, look, I expected there to be something. Um, I didn't necessarily expect there to be what we got from their fans. Um, obviously, what we talk about and what Jeff mentions is how she's really playing up this role, which she is. She is really playing up this, I'm awful kind of a role. She's being awful to everybody, including the director of authority you could see up there. So much so that she refused to wrestle again. And Santino basically gave her an ultimatum and said, you either wrestle or you're fired. And the crowd was chanting the entire time. And one of the chants that came out of the crowd was, you're a racist. And there were people in our community who were, they're like, wow, I don't know how, how must she feel, or how much, some people were thinking about that. Some people are thinking about how, that she 100% deserved it. But I came away, Jeff, from that just wondering to myself, what, because sometimes I don't know what it is. I mean, I've never been a manager of big corporations. I've been manager of stores over the course of my career. So I've been in management positions. And I came away from myself kind of wondering, like, is this a decision? And look, I've done this in small scales. When I would make a hire, right? When I would hire somebody for one of my stores, I primarily make the decision. My DM had a little bit to look at it, but he trusted me. And so I would primarily make the decision. And I made some incorrect hires. Some people interview really well. They come out as being a great person, and I hired them on, and I end up regretting it. And that's what I came away wondering is someone higher up in TNA regretting this decision right now? Because any way you slice it, Jeff, yes, it was the fans, but it's not a good look. It's not a good look for your company, because guilt. You know what, Jeff? Often we say, and the phrase is guilt by association, but you're still being held up to this because of what you did. You brought her back. And with everything that was going on and swirling around with her and involved with her and all that kind of stuff, that, they made the decision to bring her back. So that was what I came away with it with. Thinking to myself, are they regretting this? And also, one of the other things I came away with, and maybe this is a little bit selfish, but I'm a fan too, is WWE regretting a partnership? Because I don't want to see that happen. I'm enjoying this. I'm loving this partnership between these two companies. I don't want to see that happen. So are they, and who's running the show with WWE right now? Are they not thrilled with this? And like I said, I'm not, that's what I came away with, Jeff. That was my thoughts. So obviously, I'd love to hear yours.
Joe, I think that this is a bigger conversation than wrestling. And that's kind of where I land with it, is that I think it's a bigger conversation than wrestling. Obviously, if you've been following any of this, you know that there have been allegations made. I think the biggest problem that people have had with her return is that whether you believe the allegations or you don't, she didn't address them publicly. And, it's been suggested that maybe she didn't feel she needed to. Maybe she felt like she did nothing wrong. It is my opinion, my belief, that when you are in the public eye and you have a fan base or you are part of a team, this is not your traditional team setting, but it is a team. The locker room is a team. They're trying to make TNA the best that it can be. I feel like you have an obligation to address it. And listen, you can get some PR firm to whip you up some canned answer, but at least address it. But when I talk about the bigger issue, Joe, and I'm gonna try to do this as calm and cool-headed as I can. At what point do people take allegations of racism serious? Because for me, what I've seen is anytime that there's an allegation of racism or someone feels like they've been racially discriminated against, anytime they say anything publicly, it's like, well, did the person really say it? My favorite is, what was the context of them saying it? Did the person make them mad before they said it? As if being mad and getting upset is a justification for using a slur or doing something racist. Again, none of us were there in that situation. And a lot of people can claim to know things and claim to have inside knowledge and all these things, but ultimately the only people that know what happened are the ones that were there. What we can do as fans, because we're allowed to do this, it's our right to do this, is we can draw conclusions based on what we've read, what we've researched, what we've watched, who we've spoken to. Joe, and this, I'm going to go into more of this when I go over my grievance. But Joe, we've never claimed to be a news channel. We don't break news. Nope. We don't call ourselves journalists or anything like that. But nope. One thing I give us credit on is that whenever we talk about something, we do the research and we dig deep. And I think it's up to people to do that as much as they want to and come away with their own conclusion from that. But what bothers me about the racism aspect of all of this is that, and I'm trying my best to not go where I want to go, but what bothers me about all of this is that it seems as though anytime a person of color experiences racism, they're not believed. They don't deserve an apology. And I'm saying from what I see as a person of color, as a black man in this world who's experienced racism, who's called people out about their racism. There was a place that I worked where my supervisor referred to me as Black Bear. You know why he referred to me as Black Bear? Because I look like a big ass black bear with my big black ass, is what I was told. But when I called him out, well, I wasn't being racist. That wasn't racist. Or the time that I got called the N word. Which time, you can pick which time, because it's happened so many times in my life. I don't even remember. I don't keep count. That's an endless tally. Or the time when I was working in college athletics and I went to present somewhere and I was told, oh my gosh, I can't believe that someone like you can speak that intelligently. Is that not racist? Because I got a lot of people, and I see this in the news media, I see this online, I see this so many places where people tell me what racism isn't, but they can't tell me what it is. I'll tell you from my personal experience, what I'm tired of doing, Joe. I'm tired of being seen, and I've written these points down because I know that I get passionate and emotional about this stuff. So I've written some of this stuff down so I don't go off the deep end and say something that I don't need to say. So I want you to help me out. For those of you who feel like, racism isn't really a bad thing. It's not really a thing. It's just people make everything racist these days, like they just overdo the racism stuff. Well, since you can't define what racism is for me as a person of color, as a black man, I'm going to tell you what I'm tired of. I'm tired of being seen as aggressive and people saying they're scared of me before they even know my name. I'm tired of people telling me not to get offended being called the N word or being called some kind of slur. My oldest son, when he was in the first grade, 6 years old, came home one day and asked me if he looked like a monkey. You know why he asked me that? Because kids at school were calling him a monkey. That's a slur too. Is that racist? I'll go on. I shouldn't have to continue to explain why racism is an issue. Don't call somebody the N word. Don't call me boy. Don't call me a tar baby. Don't call me a diversity hire, which, by the way, I got called at my last job despite having as much experience as I have in my field. I got called a diversity hire. Last thing, I am no longer going to diminish how I feel and how others perceive racism. I'm not going to dumb it down so racist apologists or people who can't get their eyes cleared to see what things really are. I'm not going to dumb it down for you or make it gentle so you're comfortable with it. Because what I've found is that with a lot of the racism and racist that I've experienced, it's not in your face and it's not overt. Most of the time, it's done behind the back. Most of the time, it's done underneath the surface. And then one day it all just pops up and it's like, where did this come from? You may get little glimpses and signs here or there, But everyone's experience with that situation is completely different. I'm just really tired, Joe, of people who experience racism, of us having to try our case in the court of public opinion and to prove that people were jerks to us and racist to us. I'm tired of that. I won't continue to do it. And you know what? I can't fault anyone for feeling how they feel about Tessa. The only thing that I would caution you on is do your research. Don't believe everything that you hear. Don't believe every video or every article or every post on social media. Dig into it yourself. Listen to what the people involved have said themselves. Listen to what the people who've worked with these people have said themselves. Don't take my word for it. I would never ask you to do it. Don't take Joe's word for it. He would never ask you to do it. Research. But to be honest, I don't care. Like, Tessa can be there, and that's fine. Like, I don't care. I love TNA for the wrestlers that I enjoy. I'm going to continue to root for those people. The only thing that I wish would have happened was that she would have addressed it immediately and dealt with it in that way. I want you to think about this too. For those of you who have a problem with people still feeling some type of way about this, we're in 2025. This stuff happened. The first thing happened, the racial stuff supposedly happened in 2017. And there's been nothing addressed about it. I get it. They took a picture together, Tessa Blanchard and La Rosa Negra. Great. But again, when you're a public figure and you have fans and you have people that look up to you and you have people who support all of the other people around you, I feel that there's an obligation to at least address it. Even if you get some BS statement from a PR firm, do it. Because there's a cost on both ends of it. If you don't address it, we get what we're getting now and the chance that we got on Thursday. If you address it, maybe that 2 to 3 year hiatus that she took would have been sufficient for her when she came back to not meet this type of vitriol from the fans. So the only thing, my last part about this, the only thing I want to say is I don't know what you want us to do to prove racism. I don't know what you need us to do. But if you can't look at something and tell that it's racism, one of two things. Either one, you don't want to, or two, you agree with it. I'm done.
Well said, my friend. Well said. The only other thing I have to add to this whole thing, I can't possibly speak to what Jeff just spoke about. And Jeff has told me many things in the past. We've known each other for 6 years, and he's told me horrible things, countless horrible things that I can't believe that he has to go through on a daily basis. And that's just coming from a friend. The one thing I will say is this, and like Jeff alluded to earlier in his conversation about how he and I never professed to be news. We're not the a go-to place for news. We're just not. We give opinions. Okay. What I'm going to tell you all is be very, very careful where indeed you get your news and your reality from. All right. There are a lot of people out there that can claim they are an expert. There are a lot of people that are out there with YouTube pages, with wrestling stuff that can say, oh, I know this and oh, I know that. And I'm behind the scenes and I know this person in so-and-so put name of wrestling company here. And I spoke to this person. Was that you better make sure that you know that this stuff is real. You better make sure that you know that this stuff can be backed up by facts. Because if you are following that and you're quoting that, you better damn well make sure that that's coming from a good darn source. And not just someone that you see on YouTube. There have been debunked YouTube pages going on for the last 5 years of us doing this show that turn out to be absolute trash. Because all they want is clicks on a video. Okay? Tons of that. So wherever you're getting your info from and wherever you think that has all this backstage stuff, unless you're getting it from a very, very, very credible person or the person themselves, then I wouldn't be so quick to follow or listen to other individuals like that. All right. And, you know, there are people who profess every single day that they're in constant communication with this individual wrestler, or they're in constant communication with other wrestlers. And guess what? It's a bunch of BS. They're doing it because they get clicks on a page. So be very careful about where you get your information from. And I've warned you guys all about that before. There are people to listen to and there's people to not. So if you're banking opinions, and I would never, ever want nor ask any of you to bank any information on what we say, because we're just going over stuff that's already been processed out there. We're going over news that's already been said. We're not coming out and saying, oh my God, we're talking to this person and we know these people and we're behind the scenes. No. And I would never ask you to. But just be very careful who you're putting your stock into. All right? Because there are some you can believe and there are many that you cannot. So just be very, very careful about what you're putting your stock into. And, you know, look, I appreciate when Jeff is able to speak his mind. And when he's able to, you know, to say things on this show. That's what we do. That's why we have this show. Because we're allowed to do that. If you don't agree with us, fine. You don't have to. We're not asking you to or demanding you to. And I guess you have a way to get away from that. If you don't, you can simply watch something else or listen to something else. It's that easy. So, yeah, look, I hate the fact that a friend of mine has to go through this in his life. And you would have hoped that by now, all these many, many years after the great Martin Luther King, that we really have not made much progress. It kind of sickens me in that respect. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. I have my thoughts and my beliefs, and I tend to agree with what Jeff is saying. I believe that where there's smoke, there's fire. That was the thing I was taught since I was a kid. And I also agree 100% with what Jeff said about making a damn statement about it, because it's your responsibility. Okay. And like Jeff said, when you're a public figure, this is what you asked for. This is what you wanted to be a part of. You wanted to be a public figure. You wanted to be in the limelight. It's part of it. Whether you like it or not, it's part of it. And if you get involved in something like this, your responsibility to yourself and your fans is to come out and say something publicly. That's not putting something on your YouTube, not putting something on Twitter. That's not public. You can have somebody write that crap for you. You can have somebody say all that stuff for you. That's not public. You need to come out and you need to have a microphone and you need to speak your mind. And you need to say, when you don't, what does that always look like to you? See, again, to me, my parents were always under the my parents would talk to me about stuff like this, and they would say to me, you know, if you're not coming out and you're not saying this yourself, then I'm thinking you did it. I'm thinking you're 100%. You are 100% hiding something if you're not coming out about it. And that's the way I feel. So if she's not willing to do that for whatever reason it might be, that's fine. That's her prerogative. But I'm not going to look at it in a different way because that's how I was brought up. My parents brought me up to think that way. So I'm always going to think that there's something being hidden until she would come out and say it. And agree with that or not, that's just life. That's just how it is. That's life. It's not just wrestling, it's life. So there you go. Yeah. That's what I've got to say about it. So thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that as always for saying what is on your mind. And I know that that's not easy to talk about.
It's not.
But I appreciate it. And yeah, so we're gonna move on here, and we're going to grievances.
This will be the fun part because I actually changed this up some. So here's the new thing. Here's the new.
Oh, look at that! We got a new graphic. That's awesome.
Yeah, new little graphic, and here's the video. Here we go.
The airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're gonna hear about it.
Love it. That's awesome.
You know why I put the phone in there?
Why?
Because sometimes some people have the audacity to just type in some bullshit on their phones and like just ramble on and on and on and on and on and act like they know every damn thing. And it's really annoying. And I got to talk about it. So this week, there have been a couple of occasions on this channel where foot got firmly implanted into mouth. One time, there was an instance of someone calling us out for not being able to do a show on Tuesday because, man, you know, taking care of your family when YouTube isn't your full-time job apparently isn't the right thing to do. There have also been a couple folks who just were right about the whole darn thing, about a couple of different things. They had the inside knowledge. They know, right? Okay. We are fans first on this channel. We do this for fun. Contrary to popular belief, YouTube doesn't pay a whole lot of money. Nope. Not a lot of people are fortunate enough to be full-time content creators. That is an aspiration. That is not the reality at the moment. So until that is reality, when we have to cancel a show or postpone one, I'm gonna get real close to the camera. And I'm gonna hold up my microphone and say, we will damn well postpone or cancel a show if we have to. Okay, let me back up a little bit. That's the first part. Second part, none of us are on the inside of these companies. We don't know what's going on. We can make predictions, we can theorize, and we can do all of that, but none of us know what's going on. And there are quite a few people who know people within companies. You know, I know quite a few people in WWE, in TNA, in AEW. I have gone up and down the roads with these people. Joe, you know what these people wouldn't do? Tell me what's coming next in a storyline.
Yep.
You know why?
I'd imagine some sort of thing that they have that they can't. First of
Yeah,
all, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I bring that up for a very good reason. Just because you think you have some inside information doesn't mean it's correct. And it doesn't mean that you get to come on this channel or any other and be a complete jackass to people because you think you got something that other people don't. Doesn't make you more special than anybody else. It just means that maybe you were really gullible and somebody got you with a little bit of information. Pump your brakes, slow down, watch how you talk to people on this channel, because the one thing about here is that this is like a family.
Yep.
And we understand this. Families are going to argue, they're going to disagree. But that's the beauty of the family, is that not everybody's the same way. Not everybody thinks the same way. Now, that brings me to my final point. And you can say that it's related to Tessa. I don't necessarily say that. I'm just gonna throw out known situations and give you a word of advice. Please understand, and maybe I'm going to get a little close for this too. Please understand that if you are a person who makes excuses for bigotry of any kind, please know that if you are the type of person who can't at least respect other people's opinions, their beliefs, their values, if you are the type of person who feels like you got to say something nasty to people to get your point across, please do me a favor, do Joe a favor, and there are several others in the chat that I'm pretty sure would like this favor too. Depending on which platform you are watching on, there might be something that says unfollow or unsubscribe. If I just described you, do me a favor, do us all a favor, hit that button and peace out. Because we don't have time for that bull crap over here. We ain't doing it. We ain't putting up with it. If you can't have some critical thinking, if you can't at least be empathetic to others, as George Jefferson used to say, don't let the doorknob hit you where the good Lord's with you. Get out. This is not what this channel is about. We're not going to stand for it. You can feel any way you want to feel about it. I don't care. Am I talking to one person in particular? No, this is a general, you've been warned. Mess around and find out. That's my grievance.
I'm going to tell you one little thing about, and a follow up on that. I'm going to tell you one little thing about myself and the socials. I'm the bad guy. I'm the Razor Ramon of our social media. I take no shit on social media. You get one shot. If you piss me off on the X of ours, or on the YouTube page, you're out. Gone. Finished. People can speak to that. I have done that more than once. I love the block button, baby. I love it. If I see behavior in our channel that disrupts, like Jeff said, the channel family, and disrupts things like that, you are out. Gone. I don't need the headaches, and Jeff doesn't need the headaches. We do this, like Jeff said earlier. Look, I don't know if you guys all know this, okay? The channel we have and the size of the amount of followers we have, I'll go into this in a little more detail. because I've experienced this in other places. Unless you have probably about anywhere from maybe 50K to 100K or so subs on YouTube, you ain't making jack squat on YouTube. Nothing. It doesn't even matter. We've had WrestleMania videos that have gotten 25,000 likes or 25,000 watches or 30,000, even more than that. And we would make maybe $10. And I'm not lying to you. Okay. This is what this is. And it's a reason why we're looking into other things. I mentioned a little thing before the show tonight. We're looking into other things because, we enjoy doing this. We do this for fun. We like it. I mean, would it be nice to kind of get a little bit of compensation for it? Sure. Jeff does a lot of work. And I'm not going to say myself. Jeff does a lot of work on this. You could see the graphics and everything else that he does and the time that he puts into that. But I am very, very fast on that trigger finger. I've blocked a bunch of people. You may notice 1 week when you're in the chat that the next week there's someone gone. Well, you can thank me for that because I do that. Jeff's been the one who has given chances and asked me to do, to give people a second chance. And I do it because of him asking me. But I am quick on that. And if I see that going on, and there's people out there, like I said, that you no longer see in our chats because I'd had enough. They'll get into confrontation with me on X. They'll get into arguments with me. I'll see them saying just ridiculous things and so on and so forth, and they're gone. They're just gone. So you want to test it? Go ahead, because I can bet that you've known some people that are no longer here that I've done it. So, but yeah, look, I agree with everything Jeff said here. We love all of you, the family that we have grown here with. And you all know who you are. And like Jeff said, you are a family to us. I love this show because we can interact with all of you. Whereas Jeff and I have been part of other shows, been part of other creator streams. I've been part of other creator streams. You can't interact with them at all because they have a gazillion followers that they have no way to be able to even see you. So I like that. That's one of the reasons why I enjoy doing this, because of that. So that's what it is. But I'm just telling you this. Please heed the words that Jeff had just mentioned. Please heed them, because you won't get more than one shot. You just won't. So, I don't know. Maybe some of you I've blocked on X.
Saying some wild stuff like, oh my God. For just saying some out of pocket stuff.
I may have.
Just out of pocket, especially when we looked at today, Joe. That's just out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly, and I want to jump back in, Joe, because I want to say this.
Sure.
And I'm not saying this for a pat on the back, because this isn't a happy moment. This is a sad moment.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I just talked about in the We Got Time today, and everything I talked about with my grievance, I had to filter. You want to know why I had to filter it, Joe? Because some jackass out there will see it as, oh, well, he's the angry black guy. He can't take any criticism. Be better.
Yep.
Like, if you can get out there and act like a jackass on your social media and you can't get called out about it, I should be able to voice my opinion in a way that is strong and you know I'm not playing around and I don't have to be professional and tiptoe around your feelings and make you feel comfortable. Like I really want to pop off on some of y'all sometimes. I'm not even gonna lie. I want to pop off. I want to say something. I want to go there. But I try my best to be respectful because one of the things that I've learned too is that you never know what other people have going on in their lives. Mm-hmm. And you got some people in the world right now that are hurting for various reasons. And I try to meet people with grace even when they meet me with hatred and disrespect. Not for a pat on the back, but because that's what we're supposed to do as human beings. And I'm going to say this one last time. Human beings don't hate other human beings or say things to other human beings that are nasty and derogatory and racist on accident. You know, I've seen people like slip and fall, especially living here in the Northeast and all this ice and snow and stuff. I've seen people trip and fall. That's an accident. I've seen a kid out in the road hitting a ball and it hit somebody's window. That's an accident. Saying the N-word, calling people derogatory names. I don't know. I don't know. And here, okay, so I was as nice as long as I could be. RK Shuttleworth, here's what I'm going to tell you, dude, okay? I've given you grace. I've let you say stuff. I haven't blocked you or anything, and I'm not going to. Not yet. I'm not going to. If I didn't forgive, I would be an angry soul who lacked compassion, who lacked the ability to give grace. I have given you grace today and on Thursday. I've given others grace. I've given people grace that would DM me, calling me racial slurs because of a take that I had on this very channel. I like calling out BS too. So let's not go down that road. All right, I'm good, Joe.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that too, because you know what? I'm not holding back anymore either. You were the one that what I was referring to when I talked about blocking someone on X. You've been blocked. Now, you were blocked for a reason. And I had to go back through a lot of your tweets and find out why. But that's why you were blocked. So continue the path you're on. You're going to be blocked in other places too. That's all I'm going to say to you. I'm done. And like Jeff said, he's done too. All right. We're done. We're done. This is our channel. We don't need to be nice. And I'm done too. So enough's enough. All right. If you can come here and you can, be civil, fine. Otherwise, you can go too. Okay. I'm not gonna beat around the bush with you anymore. You were blocked on X for a reason. Just know that. Okay? You were blocked over there for a reason. I could easily go to Twitch right now. And you're gone from there too. Okay? Could we be done now? Then you could stop all the little quotes and stuff like that. Okay? All right.
All right, Joe, let's get into some sell or no sell.
Yep, let's do that.
What do you say? Here we go.
All right, it's sell or no sell time, guys. You know what the drill is. We're going to pick a topic. We're going to say sell or no sell. You can play along, please. and tell us whether you agree with this or you do not, and hence the sell or no sell part of it. So, Jeff, what's topic number 1?
Joe, we will see The Rock involved at WrestleMania 41. Sell or no sell?
Oh man, especially after the comments and stuff like that we got the other day, I've got to say he's going to be involved somehow. I just don't know whether or not we're going to get a match or something to that effect. I kind of don't know, especially after I heard him on the press conference kind of saying that it doesn't have to be a match. That little hint that he gave. I mean, he could just decide to wrestle in a match. But I think, I'm going to sell this. I think he's going to be involved in some way. As I mentioned earlier, that little prediction that I had about it was thinking that, he could kind of intervene. If it is John Cena that wins the chamber, he can intervene on John's part and kind of screw Cody, just like John screwed him the year before. So, I definitely think he'll be involved in some way. I just kind of don't know how they're going to do it yet. We'll see. I mean, it certainly could be a match. And like I said, he has the power where he could insert himself into Mania. He can insert himself into the chamber if he wanted to. So he's got that power, but I don't know. We'll have to see. But I think he's going to insert himself. But personally, I kind of agree with Conrad. I don't think it's going to be necessarily in a match. So I'm going to sell it because I think he will be involved in some way.
Yeah, I'm going to sell it too. I think he'll be involved. I don't think it'll be a match, but I do think he'll be involved because why else would he? I mean, think about it. Think about the big deal they're making of Elimination Chamber with him being there. I don't think it just stops there. I think Mania is the goal for this. So I think he has some form of impact on Mania.
Agreed. All right, let's see what everybody's got here. I think it's a hard sell for everybody. It looks like it mostly is anyway. Isaac says sell. Alexa Bliss Gamer says sell. Swackfan says sell. John Bennett says sell. David says sell. Bonus Baby says sell. Jason Stoffer says sell. Damien says sell. Brandon Wayne Lewis says yes. Brandon Barnes says sell. Chris says sell. Dylan, Andrew, all saying sell. Conrad says sell in a non-wrestling way. I'm selling for now. Pending on the projects he has, says Brandon. All right. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. I think we're all thinking The Rock's going to have something going on. Derek saying sell as well.
Yep. All right. So the next one up is
topic number 2.
Moose versus Obafemi is the biggest match we will get in the TNA WWE NXT partnership.
Oh, so man.
This is
a tough one.
This is a tough one.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's going to be big, right? Because, you got champions. It's champion versus champion, right? Now, Moose, here's my explanation for this. I'm not going to sell it. I'm going no sell on this. But the reason I'm doing that is because I think a bigger match would be like one where we're kind of being teased with Masha Slamovich and Cora Jade. Because Masha's a champion, or if we ever happen to get something with Joe Hendry and someone from NXT, like if we were getting Joe Hendry and Oba, that's company champion versus company champion. Like, I'm talking like, the main champion of each company. That's what I'm talking about there. That's what I would say would be bigger. But this is certainly big. I mean, look, the X Division title is a celebrated championship in TNA, and I'm not putting that down at all. That is a huge, it's a huge thing in TNA. And so, but I'm no selling it, not because it's big. I'm no selling it though, because I don't think it is the biggest we're going to get, because I still think something bigger is coming, especially maybe as we lean toward the end of the year, when Joe might be done with his contract and maybe leaving to go to WWE. That's when I think we might see something even a little bit bigger. So I'm going to no sell it, but only for that reason.
As much as I love this matchup, and I really want to see it. How cool would it be? Conrad, you're kind of taking my thought there, but I actually think it'll happen before Hendry is signed to a WWE contract. I think we will get Hendry and Cena at some point this year. Could it be Mania? I'm not sure. It all depends. Just watch very closely what happens this upcoming weekend at the Chamber. If Cena loses, what do you do with Cena at WrestleMania? I think it's very, very enticing to have a Joe Cena and Joe Hendry match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Oh,
Can you imagine the
huge
crowd?
Yeah,
for that.
Huge. Yeah, I mean that is Joe Hendry's biggest match in his career, no doubt. No doubt. And because he's the personality that he is, I mean, if you get heel Cena, right, or kind of heelish Cena, where Cena is the bloated egotistical guy, and Hendry's coming in as the face in that match, holy, yeah, that is absolutely huge. And a bunch of people mentioned it. Damian, James Chadwick, a lot of people mentioned it above as well. Yeah, I think a lot of people are thinking that that's going to happen sooner than later. But man, oh man, I agree, Jeff. That is going to be one of the biggest matches of the year for them, having a crossover. That's like, and it's funny, Jeff, they just announced another, if you're a comic book reader, they just announced another crossover between Marvel and DC. Hasn't happened since Justice League and Avengers in the 90s. And they just announced another one. That would be similar to that. That would be similar to like Superman fighting one of the big heroes from Marvel, like Superman fighting Thor, or Superman fighting Spider-Man, or something like that. That's what that's akin to. And that would be just absolutely off the charts. Something we never thought we'd see in a wrestling ring, and it would be out of the park. So yeah, yep, I agree with you, man. I think that would just be huge. Let's see what people are saying here. Sell-ish, says James. No sell, says Alexa Bliss Gamer. Yes. Brandon Wayne Lewis says no sell, says Isaac. Tough one, says Swag Fan. No sell, says Jason Stauffer. John Bennett said this is hard for me since I haven't seen TNA in years. Chris says no sell, big, not the biggest IMO, says Swag Fan. Hendry and Cena has me pausing, says Conrad. No sell, but not the biggest, in my opinion. David says, need a clarification, biggest in terms of stakes or biggest in terms of stars? Could be really either or both. Cena versus Hendry would be bigger. No sell, this match would be big, but I do think a different match we get down the road could surpass this by a small lead. I will sell, guessing Cena versus Hendry happens in a WWE ring. Brandon says, I'm no selling because it'd still be a third of the year to this point. Jason says, Joe Hendry, John Cena is bigger. Joe referenced John Cena in his song. Jeff, yeah, he did. Yes, he did. I think the bigger match is when Cardona finally comes back under the TNA banner with Mance and SDL. Okay. All right. Different opinion. I like it. Does Cena just say, I need a world title? Joe Hendry, you've got a world title. Very interesting if he doesn't win the chamber. Very interesting way to go, right? My sell or no sell is okay. You're giving. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you guys have to give us one. Yeah. Okay. Brandon has started us out already. He's there. So yeah, guys, we gotta get a third one. We gotta get a third one from you.
Conrad had one. AJ with the TNA World Title before it hangs it up. So
okay,
I put AJ and Hendry will battle this year. So that's a good one.
Okay.
What was the other one?
Brandon says would be smart not to include Tessa in the TNA NXT interaction.
Okay.
Imagine Cena's at the ring at Mania claiming he has no match. The crowd boos. Then they say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry, and he walks out. Dude, that should be awesome as well. Yeah. Yeah. David's selling. If Cena and Hendry happens, Moose versus Obafemi at Mania would be huge. If Cena match doesn't happen. Okay, we need some sell or no sells, guys. Alexa Bliss Gamer has one here, Jeff. The Wyatt 6 will be at the Chamber.
Okay.
Derek's got a funny one. I'm thinking you're getting a no sell on that, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm no selling that. Heck
Yeah,
out of that.
I think that's a hard no sell, my friend.
I love you, brother, but I don't think she's gonna do that.
Yeah, I think that's a hard no sell on that one. James Chadwick saying, a sell or no sell, will Cody sell his soul to The Rock? Sell or no sell? Keep them coming. Keep them coming. What's on your mind that you want to have as a sell or no sell here?
All right, we need 4 more.
Need 4 more. Keep them coming. Derek says, oh, come on.
Cody will sell his soul to The Rock.
Yep. Cody will sell his soul.
Will Cody then say he did it for The Rock?
Brandon Wayne Lewis is saying something about the Hall of Fame. Is that Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, you thinking? Isn't he in there? Is he not in the Hall of Fame?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. As a Hall of Fame one. Sid to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. 2 more.
Dylan's got one. Sheamus finally becomes Intercontinental Champion at Mania. John Bennett has a Hall of Fame one too. Demolition for Hall of Fame.
Okay. Yeah, let's do.
James says he has one. Will I make at least one stream without swearing?
No. I can answer that one real quick.
Isaac's got one there.
That's a good one. We'll use that one as the last one.
Aleister Black returns and targets Cody Rhodes. Ooh. Do they have interactions in AEW? I kind of remember they did. Did they? Conrad would know. Conrad, did Cody and Aleister have interactions when they were in AEW? Oh, they did. That's kind of tasty. First feud in AEW. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Thank you, guys. Aleister crushed Cody in like 30 seconds. LOL. Oh, man. Damn. Okay. All right. Oh, that's right. He was the one that kicked Arn Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. That's true. Okay. All right. Yeah. I remember that.
Now I'm remembering. All right.
Okay. All right.
I got all of these.
Yep.
So
there you go. The spinner is set to go.
please don't land on that one. Please. Of course it lands on that one.
Did it land on the Aleister one?
No.
Oh. Which one did it land on?
Smart not to include Tessa in crossover.
Oh, of course, right?
I mean, I guess it's fitting because we've,
kind of
talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fate intervened. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
sell or no sell. Tessa should not be included in crossover segments.
Oh man. Well, I would say this. I wouldn't include her in any live show segments anymore. That's for sure. Maybe if you want to shake it up that way, I would say maybe not include her in live segments. I don't know, Jeff. I've for my personal feelings and for the sake of what they're doing together at this point, I'm not saying I can't change my mind, but at this point, I would sell it. Yeah. At this point, I would sell it. At this point, I would sell it. What?
Yeah, I think at this point I would sell it too, Joe. Just here's the one thing that I will say. Regardless of what you think about her, as a human being based on what you read, watched, heard, whatever it is. She's talented as all get out. Like, there's no denying that.
Oh, there's no denying talent. No.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are a ton of matches that you could do with that crossover.
Mhm.
I just think I'm thinking about it from a WWE standpoint and a PR standpoint. Regardless of what you think, it's not good. It's not a good look. I mean, and if you had, let's say you have her show up on NXT one week, and that crowd chants the same thing that the crowd chanted on Thursday,
Yep.
it's a bigger deal now. If it happens there, not completely fair that it's a bigger deal, but let's be honest, NXT gets more eyes than TNA at this point. So it's going to get out there more. People are going to be like, you got to see this. It's going to get shared. If it hits a WWE program, something like that hits TMZ. It's not on TMZ's radar at the moment. So I'm going to sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. Looks like a lot of people agree. Alexa Bliss Gamer says sell. I think this goes back to my original question. Is Tessa being back in TNA a test run to see how things would go in WWE? Andrew says sell. Swackfan says I'd say sell. Brandon says sell. James says sell. Damien says sell. Dylan says sell. Comes down to what I always thought was a guaranteed Mania match before all the drama with Tessa was her versus Charlotte. Yeah, that would have been a great match for sure. Chris says sell. Personally, she wouldn't be a TNA if it were up to me. Conrad says sell. Charlotte Flair's hated. Tessa is hated. Maybe put them together and let them take the WWE Women's Tag Belts and the TNA Knockouts Tag Belts, maybe a singles title each, and just ride the nuclear heat. James says all the talent in the world doesn't overshadow being a shit human being. Very talented, so she's done even herself a disservice, but I got to say sell. Brandon says yes. Again, put Tessa out there in Orlando, where is NXT based? It would be the same fans. Let Tessa get her ass kicked by Teal Piper, says John Bennett. All right. Yeah, so there you go. Well, thank you. Appreciate the shout outs for the segment and the sell or no sell questions. As always, thank you so much for sharing and giving those to us. We appreciate it. All right, guys, we're moving on.
All right, so we've got what to watch for right now, Joe, and we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show, but we know we've got the Elimination Chamber coming up on Saturday.
Yes, we do. It's a week away, and we have two WWE shows before that. Obviously, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown on Friday. And then Elimination Chamber is Saturday. Yeah, look, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but it's very true. This kind of was always looked at because most of the time, like especially like last year was a great example. Cody and his match that was being done when it was the match with The Rock, and then it became the match with Roman, wasn't even going to be part of this whole thing. It didn't matter. This always kind of seemed like this was the place where people would go to get the shot at the secondary person. This was always kind of not the Elimination Chamber was never the place that people would go to get a shot at the first person. Well, that's not going to be true this year. This is a shot at the main guy. This is a shot at Cody Rhodes because they decided to go with Gunther and Jey Uso, who won the Rumble. So that is not the case. And now we have even bigger stakes with the stuff that The Rock is talking about to make it even that much bigger. So this is going to be a much different, I think, Elimination Chamber, and one I'm really excited for. And in the past, I didn't really necessarily get that excited about this show. You can almost even kind of predict it to an extent, and because when you're looking at the matchups, but this one's going to be crazy. Yeah. I don't know who this could be, and Jeff gave some ideas earlier of how it could be different from the way I'm thinking it may go. So yeah, this is a must watch now, and The Rock made it that way with those little things that he said to Cody, and he's going to expect a decision from Cody at this event. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see this show. And yeah, I think this is this may be a better one than we've seen in a while. One of these shows. So I'm looking forward to this, Jeff.
Yeah, this could be really, really good. If you just base it on the Elimination Chamber matches, and I just want to pull them up real quick, just so I can see them again, because I think you got to look at how star-studded the matches are. So you've got Damian Priest, Logan Paul, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, John Cena, and CM Punk. You can make a case for any one of them, and that's great. The women's, you got Roxanne Perez, Bayley, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair. Who's going to go after Rhea? I'm excited to see anyone win that match and go up against Rhea. That's going to be awesome. So it's going to be a fun night. Conrad, I'm glad that you brought that up. I think that this year, and I could be wrong, I think this year we're seeing a shift in when they'll start to hit the gas pedal on the build to Mania. I think now with how they're treating the Elimination Chamber, there's so many more matches that you can field based on the outcome of the two Elimination Chamber matches. So let's say somehow, some way in the Elimination Chamber match, we find out that Naomi had something to do with Jade's being taken out. You can do Bianca and Naomi at Mania. I feel like we're going to get Bayley and Roxanne. So there's just a lot, I think, that can come with making the Elimination Chamber matter more. And I think that may be the focus going forward. At least that's what I'm seeing for this year. So yeah, I think there's a great opportunity to maybe push the build out a month later than what you normally do, but with the idea that whereas you get to the Royal Rumble, and that's really only filling out 2 matches, you get to the Elimination Chamber. Now, based on those results, we can get a lot more. So just to answer that real quick.
Yeah. Jeff, I have a little piece of breaking news. I just saw James shared this on Twitter.
Okay.
Maple Leaf Pro, former TNA World Champion Rich Swann is coming to MLP Wrestling on the road to Northern Rising at MLP Mayhem in Windsor, Ontario on March 14th and 15th.
Good for Rich Swann.
Very cool.
Good for Rich Swann.
Another good story, yeah. Because a lot of people have been asking about him in our chat. So there you go. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, good stuff. I agree with everything that Jeff was saying there. I'm really looking forward to this show. I think it's going to be really, really good. Really, really good. So there you go. That is our what to watch for segment.
Well, as we often do, Joe, we have things that kind of piggyback off of one another.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking to the professionalism that we treat this show with. I'm being funny, but I'm not being funny because we do treat it professionally. So, but we got the burning question of the week. I'll do that because it is cold up here. So we'll just please.
Like never-ending winter.
Yeah. I was looking at a graphic that they had on our weather channel today, and it was going over how many days over 45 degrees we've had since January 1st.
Yep.
To no one's surprise, it was a 0.
Yeah.
Because we just had it. So
yeah, our warmest day in the last few months was in mid-November, and it was in the 50s. I think they said in mid-November. That was the last time. And supposedly, now knock on wood, we'll see, but supposedly we might hit the high 40s in the next few days. and maybe 50 on I think Wednesday, which is going to be amazing. But then it's going to go back to being cold again. This is just like the never-ending winter. They said on our weather forecast, they said it's the coldest winter in 10 years that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I believe it. It's been brutal. All right, well, there you go. Burning question of the week. Add a little fire to the cold. Who do you think will win the men's elimination chamber match? You can make an argument for everyone in the match. If Punk doesn't win, what would you do with him at WrestleMania? All right. Well, people are already guessing. Jeff, what are your thoughts, man?
Man, this is one of the toughest. This is one of the toughest elimination chamber matches to call, I think, because there are so many different directions, and like we've said, you can make a case for any guy. I think Cena's going to end up going up against Cody at Mania. I think I probably changed that from my earlier thing. So, but I think it's possible that Cena goes up against Cody at Mania. I wouldn't be surprised if either were quote unquote the heel. Because I really, there's been some stuff floating around that we could get a triple threat, Punk, Seth, and Roman.
Yeah.
I don't know where you put that match, but if anything follows it, good luck following it.
Yeah.
That's one of those matches that
that should be a main event easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
What are you going to do with Drew?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you do there? Who does he face? I mean, honestly, because I don't know what they do with Drew, but they have to do something with him. What do you do with Priest? What do you do with Logan Paul? I know people aren't big fans of Logan, but he's gonna be on Mania somehow, some way.
Yeah.
So what do you do with him? So I think, all right. So just for the sake of your question, I would say that, let's say that Cena wins the chamber. I think we'll see a triple threat. If Punk doesn't win the chamber, I do think we'll see a triple threat. Although I really want to see Seth and Roman on their own, and I feel like if we did see Seth and Roman on their own, you got to have some type of stipulation to it because they hate each other. So, maybe they could steal another idea from TNA and do Monsters Ball at Mania.
Oh my God, that would be awesome. Right?
Just call it something else.
It kind of, Jeff, just writes itself in a way because of this whole favor thing, doesn't it? Because Heyman would have to kind of go behind Roman's back and get Punk inserted into that match, right? Let's say it starts off as Roman and Seth, and then all of a sudden Punk cashes in his favor, and now the wise man's kind of going up against Roman a little bit there by allowing this favor to happen. So it kind of just writes itself a little bit. And like I said, as far as the Cena thing, I just kind of think that to me, that writes itself as well, especially with this stuff with The Rock. I just think that it just, the fact that both of them are there on the board, to me, it just writes itself. And it could be that we all wanted the heel Cena. We all wanted it. Ever since we saw Bray Wyatt do that with the NWO, with Cena, we all wanted it. So this could be the way to get it. And I think that but there were some people in the chat that were talking about it's been a little bit of a slow build. And Jeff has a point with Drew. What do you do with Drew? I mean, Drew's been in a feud with Jimmy Uso. Is that the match he gets? Is it Jimmy and Drew at Mania? It is going to be interesting, but I will say this. It may be a slow build, but it also isn't a very revealing / spoilery build. We don't know much. And you know what? It's fun that way, that we don't know much. Because last year we knew, well, we did know until everything changed. We knew what we were getting in the main event, and then that changed too. So maybe, I don't know, Maybe they want to keep that feeling going, and they want to do something kind of swervy again a little bit. But this can go any number of ways. We just don't know how it's going to be. So, like I said, the Chamber's a must watch. I think it's a must watch right now because it's going to kind of determine where things are going to line up and go. And Conrad mentioned the KO and Sami Zayn. Oh man, an unsanctioned match in WWE. I don't remember the last time that was even done. I don't remember the last time that was even done. When they said that, I'm like, wait a minute. Are they doing unsanctioned? Like we've seen unsanctioned in AEW. I don't know when the last time I could even remember when an unsanctioned match happened in WWE. That's going to be just crazy.
Now, here's the question, Joe and chat. How many references do we get to Kevin Steen and El Generico during the match?
Oh.
Over, under, we're going to put the number at 5. Over or under 5 mentions of El Generico and Kevin Steen. And that wouldn't have been, I don't even think I would have brought that up prior to Triple H taking over.
Yeah. Yep.
So
just goes to show you, Jeff, that they are really changing up things.
Things are different.
Yeah, they are. Because I do not think that the old man would have done that. I don't think we would have seen that done.
Now, here's what I'm going to say. Different doesn't mean perfect.
Oh, sure.
It means different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they haven't batted 1,000, but I can tell you it ain't the old man anymore. So
No. Yeah,
I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, me too. Same here. Same here.
We got folks saying over. Over 5 times.
Over 5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That it should be a lot of fun though. Clown saying he thinks Chris Jericho and HBK in 08, the last unsanctioned match. Wow.
Okay. You could very well be correct. I would have to look that up. I can't remember the last one. So for an unsanctioned match, KO and Sammy should be made to get their own building, own ring, own ref, own camera crew, and broadcast feed. They're just wrestling in a different building, man. In a different building. That, oddly enough, that you say that kind of stuff happened during COVID.
Yeah.
We got those things that went on in those separate buildings and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Frankie Kazarian was in one of those separate building matches, actually. So, yeah. All right. Well, there you go. That is our burning question of the week. And we are going to move on and get to we're going to get to the fun portion of the week, the top 3 favorite moments of the week. So get them ready, guys. We're going to go to our top 3, and we're going to have you guys give us yours as well. So this is always the fun part of the week where we get to talk about our favorite things that happened during the course of the week in wrestling. So let's get into it, shall we? And we're going to start, of course, as we do, at number 3. So number 3, Jeff, what is your number 3 favorite moment of this past week in wrestling?
My number 3 favorite moment of the week, Joe, I think anytime R-Truth does anything,
oh my God,
he deserves to be on this list. His tag team partner, Louisiana Knight. Oh my gosh, dude. That dude is hilarious.
He's a joy in wrestling. He really just is.
Yeah, I mean,
if you don't laugh at that, you have no sense of humor.
Exactly. There's so much BS that goes on, not just in the world of wrestling, but unless you've been under a rock, in the world in general. And R-Truth and people like him help you escape the reality for just a few moments, so you don't have to think about the fact that if you make an omelet, it's going to cost you $27 for it. Or whatever the case is, right now. So thank God for R-Truth. But yeah, the man's a national treasure. That was my number 3 moment, because I was sitting there trying to think, like, who's this tag partner that's a Louisiana legend? And I'm going through all the names in my head, and then LA Knight comes out, Louisiana Knight. So, Yeah, and Derek said, even counted his own pen.
Yes, he
So,
did.
yeah.
He just I can't not laugh whenever I see R-Truth come on and do stuff. It just cracks me up, man. It really does. It's so good. My number 3 is an unusual one, but my number 3 is one that involves one of my favorite wrestlers, of course, in Rosemary. But my number 3 talks about Rosemary putting someone over, and that is, of course, Xia Li from WWE. I know that's not her name in TNA. I never remember the name she has in TNA.
Lei Ying Li.
Lei Ying Li, thank you. Yeah. I always think it's cool when a talent crosses over from one company to another. And, I thought she was great when she was in NXT. And now she's over in TNA. And then you will see someone like Rosemary, who's been a staple of TNA for the longest time, has won championships, has been involved in major storylines, and she comes out and she puts over the new talent that is in TNA. That could be the future talent. She could be a champion in TNA, and I love to see it. I love to see it. It just shows me that, because look, I know that the creative, I know, is in charge of a lot of this stuff and things, but I like to think that some of the wrestlers who've been around a while have maybe a little bit more say in what they do and what they don't do. So I kind of think that if Rosemary didn't want to be the one to do that, I kind of think she would have said no. But the fact that she did, I thought that was very cool. And, we were both saying, Jeff and I were saying before the match even started, that, how big is this for Lei Ying Li if she actually wins this match? And she did. And this could be something to look at her career as a takeoff point, as something that's going to propel her to the next level of her career. And it was done by Rosemary. So yeah, I absolutely love that. I think that was great. So that's my number 3. All right, let's see what people have as their number 3s. Number 3 is a tie. Moose appears in NXT in the Storm May saga continuing to Revolution. Timeless Tony Storm regaining the AEW Women's Championship at Grand Slam, says Damien. Hardy Boys coming to NXT is bonus babies. Derek said he even counted his own pin. Swag Fan, number 3, Tony Storm winning back the AEW Women's title. Ricky Stark signing his NXT contract under the name Ricky Saint, says Dylan, was his number 3. Storm winning title in May's response, says David Paul. Meat Madness all week, says Andrew Stevens. Moose and Obafemi face off. Hobbs versus Big Bill street fight, says Andrew. That's his number 3. Bonus Baby says, I'm going to go Derek here. Rosemary and Xia Li Young. Oh, gosh. Bonus Baby's going.
If the soundboard was working, I'd give you a giggity.
You get a giggity for that. Ricky Stark signing the NXT in Vengeance Day, says Conrad. Osprey and Omega teaming up, says James Chadwick. Okay. All right. They're the number 3s. Jeff, what do you have as your number 2?
So before I get to my number 2, Derek sent me something over, and this is just categorized as don't be this type of fan. Rhea Ripley apparently tweeted, shouldn't have to say this. Do not ever send fan mail to my house. That is by mail or self-delivered.
Oh,
that is 100% not okay.
Wow. That's insane, dude. That's scary stuff when you think about it. Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah. Good Lord. Don't. My God.
Don't.
We should never ever have to say any of this to any of you. And I know that you guys all wouldn't do that, but yeah, my gosh, don't be that person. That's a crazed person that don't do that. Don't do that. Fandom is one thing. Taking things way, way too far is another, and that's just scary shit. So yeah,
that's obsession at that point.
It is. Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this, and I'm not trying to be flippant or make light of it, but if you're at that point, get help.
Yeah.
There are plenty of places that can give you help.
Yeah.
Get help, because that's not okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll get us back on track here.
Yeah, you're number 2.
My number 2, Joe. There is a wrestler by the name of Timeless Tony Storm who is in the top 3 of, and I don't just want to say, well, let me back up. I'm gonna say she's in the top 5. Anybody with a microphone, men or women, and she ain't 5. Her promos are so wacky and so fun. It's like she's so in character and she feels it. She believes it. She is Timeless Tony Storm. And oh my God. Like, I'm not going to repeat anything that she said because I can't talk about certain parts being out and that kind of thing. And, delivering the biggest package and all of that, like she said. But if you haven't seen her promo from last week, go check it out. Just go check it out. There's so many things that she says in it, but she's becoming one of those wrestlers that anytime she's on, I have to see what she's going to do. So, yeah.
Nice. My number 2 is, and this could have easily been my number 1, but my number 1 was saved for something else. Was Joe Hendry and Elijah. I never, ever, ever, ever would have. I love unexpected things in wrestling. I love them. Take completely by surprise. I didn't see any spoilers. And that's one great thing about having live as opposed to taped. But yeah, that was tremendous. I never expected that. I marked out a little when Elijah came out and the guitar came out. It was awesome. And that was just an amazing moment on TNA on what was a great show. And I liked him when he was Elias in WWE, especially that second run that he had. I thought he was doing great work. And the fact that he got let go and stuff like that, so I think this is going to be a beautiful thing going forward, and as to how long this is going to last. But yeah, I absolutely loved it. That was my number 2. I just was unbelievable. So, all right, let's see what we got for number 2 is Moose on NXT when he said, "Oba, this has to happen." I was screaming, "Yes, it does." Bonus Baby says, "Women's Elimination Chamber vignette from SmackDown," says Alexa Bliss Gamer. 0809 Jordan Grace says Brandon Wayne Lewis. The Colognes turning up at TNA, says Dylan. MJF and Hangman's face off, says Conrad. Moose on NXT, I got that one. Moose showing up on NXT, says Swag Fan. Number 2, Damien says MJF and Hangman Adam Page promo. B, all the stuff with KO and Sami Zayn this week. Moose shows up on NXT, says Swag Fan. My number 2 and 1 might be on. It's nice to have some characters in wrestling talking about that. Let's see. 2, debut for Roxanne Perez. Jordan Grace and Ricky Saints for WWE. And the Colognes and Elijah for TNA. My number 2 is Elijah and the Colognes appearing in TNA, says Brandon. Although I wouldn't repeat much of what Tony Storm said either, LOL. Yeah, no, probably not a good idea.
I ain't getting in trouble here.
Yeah.
I already get myself in enough trouble. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah. David Paul says, my number 2 and number 1 might be in parts unknown section of fandom for this week, thanks to Scotland Green, Vance Warner versus Gabriel Kidd at GCW in New Jersey. Okay. All right. They're the number 2s. Jeff, let's go to the number 1. All right, guys, give us your number 1s. Favorite moment in wrestling of this past week. What are your number 1s? And Jeff, what's yours?
I'm going to go a little unconventional. And I'm not going to go 1A, 1B, but what I am going to say is there are 2 pairings that have happened over the last couple weeks in wrestling. One as a tag team, and one pairing is 2 people going up against each other that we desperately needed as wrestling fans. Joe Hendry and Elijah is a pairing that, as wrestling fans, with so many things going on, so much chaos in the world, we need more laughter. We need more entertainment. Yeah. We need more fun. Those 2 guys together, absolutely tremendous. MJF, Adam, Hangman Page. That's gonna be special. I truly believe, and you can argue with me, you can say whatever you want to say, but I think we all got to address the elephant in the room. AEW has not been at its apex lately. I think this is the feud that turns all of that around. I think by the end of 2025, we're maybe looking at AEW in a different way. And that's good for wrestling in general. So I'm so excited to see what those two do. Both of them are crazy as all get out, and I need that in a program. I need both people to go from 0 to 100 real quick, and I know we'll get that from the two of them. So that's my number one.
I've got two of them, and in no particular order. But number one, whenever The Rock comes back, it's must-see TV. No matter what he does, what he comes out to say, it's must-see TV. That goes all the way back to when I was watching wrestling when I was much, much younger in the 90s and stuff, when The Rock was just on top of the world. And he caused a stir again. I didn't know how that was going to go. And, it went in a little bit of took a different turn than I expected it to take. So that is part of it. The other part of it is obviously the thing with Chris Bay. I mean, it's a man's livelihood. This is all just an occupation, right? The wrestling is their job. The wrestling is what they do. They love it, but it's what they do as work. That is life. And, to see the outpouring of love that he got from all those fans that donated to that and enabled him to get that surgery done in the first place. And then to see the results of that surgery for him as a person. And look, guys, he may never wrestle again, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's going to get the ability to walk and have his life back. And that is just astronomically above anything else that wrestling could ever be. So it was, like Jeff said, it's evidence. It's evidence of God, and it's evidence of prayers being answered, and evidence that that young man will be able to live his life going forward. So that's about the best thing that I could have seen in wrestling this week. So there you go. Let's see what people have their number ones. We've got all the way back here. All right, twos. There's a one. Alexa Bliss vignette was amazing. WrestleMania chaos and speculation. Just good to see fans have fun, says Conrad. Yeah, you know what? So much. That's a great comment. So much of what we do and what this show is about and what wrestling should be about is fun. And yet it gets so far from that sometimes. Especially on social media and stuff, and it gets to be in a bad place. But you're right. It should be fun. It should be fun. Dylan, 1A, Joe Hendry, and Elijah, 1B, Moose turning at NXT and the face-to-face with Obafemi. Brandon Wayne Lewis says Cody and The Rock on SmackDown. James says number one, Moose in NXT. Damian says Moose and Femi coming face-to-face on NXT. Clown says Nicole, Roderick, and Alec Price, J Cup tournament. Bonus Baby says the pop for Obafemi on TNA. Brandon says my number one is the continuing build-ups to Elimination Chamber and AEW Revolution. Sockfan says TNA Live. The show was fire from start to finish. Yeah, that's a great one. It really was. Let's see. Hangman and MJF face off, and Rock stakes his claim on Cody's soul. Minoru Suzuki did a match like this in Japan last year. A women's tag team match on a bullet train. TNA live show and Chris Bay walking against a SWAC fan. There you go. All right. Conrad says, I'm just having fun watching the wrestling. That's what it should be. That's what it should be. Plain and simple. Wrestling is entertainment. And I've said this to many people. If you're not being entertained, probably a good thing to tell you to go and find your entertainment somewhere else. That's simple. Life is too short to take your entertainment and have it upsetting you. That's never how it should be. You should be enjoying your stuff that you do for entertainment. Work is work. Life is life. Entertainment is a way of escape. If you're not getting escapism from it, you shouldn't be doing it. Plain and simple. My number one is knowing WWE is in a great hands with The Rock, Triple H, HBK, Bully Ray, Booker T, and Mickey, along with the long-term great storytelling, has me on the edge of my seat. Jason's talking about that show that they're all training the upcoming wrestlers. Yeah, Undertaker.
LFG.
Yep. It's good stuff. Good stuff. The Rock has become the Princess Bride's dread Pirate Roberts. I'm coming for your soul. Or like any good vampire from a vampire movie. All right, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Between the Ropes. Thank you all for coming out, participating, listening to us talk about the things that we love and the week in wrestling that was. We appreciate all of you doing so. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. You like the video before you go. That helps us out big time in the grand scheme of things. And hit the notification bell to be notified about when we have future content, which coming up will be on Tuesday next for an episode of Fireflies Forever. Obviously, Chris will join us for that. And we will talk all about the Alexa stuff and everything, I'm sure, unless we get anything on Raw on Monday night, which we probably won't since they're SmackDown now. So join us for that, 6 o'clock on Tuesday. We're back on Thursday, 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with TNA Wrestling. It's been such a great show lately. It's can't miss and stuff. And then, of course, if we do this again next week, we'll let you know. We'll keep you posted during the week. Another episode of Between the Ropes next Thursday at 8:30. And yeah, watch out for our announcement, guys. We are going to be looking at some different things. And we'll let you know, and we will probably talk about it on a show that is upcoming. So watch out for that too. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate all of you, and please again, like always, stay safe on the socials, especially be kind to one another, and hopefully we will see you all for the next episode of The Insiders. Have a great rest of your Sunday night and a great Monday, and we'll talk to you all on Tuesday. And yeah, we'll talk to you all soon. Good night, everybody.